Madame Moon Yanja had already washed her hands twice before she reached for the baby. For 9 months she had spoken about the moment as though it belonged to her. She would be the first grandmother to hold the child properly. She would check whether the blanket was warm enough. She would examine the baby's fingers, nose, and ears and announce which side of the family had provided each feature. Hae-rin expected criticism. Her mother had opinions about everything. She had criticized the hospital bag because it was too small, the baby bed because it was too low, and the name Saebam because, according to her, names connected to seasons had become too fashionable. But Hae-rin never imagined her mother would refuse to hold her granddaughter. The family had gathered inside Yanja's apartment 24 days after the birth. It was not a formal ceremony. There were no hired decorations or expensive gifts. A low table filled most of the living room, covered with seaweed soup, fruit, dumplings, grilled fish, and small white rice cakes made that morning. Close relatives sat around the table, talking over one another. 5-year-old Siyu stood beside the padded baby carrier like a guard. Every time someone leaned too close, he pointed toward the sink. "Wash your hands first." Most of the adults laughed. They obeyed anyway. His baby sister slept beneath a pale yellow blanket. Thick curls formed close to her head. Her skin was a warm brown, much darker than the skin of her mother, father, or brother. Several relatives had already looked at her longer than necessary. One end had asked whether newborn skin sometimes changed dramatically after a few months. Another had said the baby must resemble someone from Jun-ho's extended family. Hae-rin noticed every comment. She chose not to answer them. She had spent 24 days memorizing Saebam's face. The faint line beside her left eye. The serious expression she wore after feeding. The way her lower lip moved before she cried. Saebam did not look confusing to her mother. She looked familiar in the way only a deeply loved child could. "Bring her to me," Yanja said. Her voice softened. For one hopeful second, Hae-rin believed the uncomfortable glances would end as soon as her mother held the baby. She removed Saebam's cap. Siyu smiled proudly. "She has curls," he announced. "They're soft, but you can't touch without washing." "I washed," Yanja said. She sat forward and held out both arms. Hae-rin lifted Saebam from the carrier. The baby opened her eyes. Yanja's hands stopped in the air. Then they fell into her lap. The warmth left her face. Hae-rin remained halfway between her chair and her mother. "What is it?" Yanja did not answer. "Mother?" Yanja stared at the baby's brown cheeks and dark curls. Her gaze moved slowly from Saebam to Hae-rin. Then she looked across the table at Jun-ho. "Why does she look like that?" The conversation around the room faded. Jun-ho's expression hardened. "Like what?" Yanja ignored him. She leaned closer to Saebam without reaching for her again. "Move the blanket." Hae-rin held her daughter closer. "No. I want to see her properly. She is not something you are inspecting. Hae-rin, this is your granddaughter. Either hold her or stop staring at her." Yanja looked around the room. The other relatives quickly lowered their eyes. Their silence told Hae-rin they had noticed the same thing. Someone near the kitchen whispered, "Could the hospital have made a mistake?" Hae-rin turned toward the voice. "No." The woman who had spoken looked down at her bowl. Yanja straightened. "That baby isn't our family." The sentence was quiet. That made it worse. She did not sound angry or confused. She sounded certain. Hae-rin felt every face in the room turn toward her. The first emotion was not rage. It was humiliation. Her mother had taken the most vulnerable part of Hae-rin's life and placed it in the center of the room for everyone to question. Saebam moved against her chest. Hae-rin tightened her arms around her. "What did you say?" "You heard me." Jun-ho stepped between them. "That is enough." Yanja looked at him. "You cannot honestly expect me to ignore what is in front of us. What is in front of you is my daughter. She does not look like you. I said she is my daughter. You are being emotional." "No. I am being clear." Yangja's gaze sharpened. Jun-ho, I have always respected you. But loving my daughter does not mean closing your eyes. My eyes are open. Then ask her. Hae-rin's heart struck hard against her ribs. Jun-ho did not turn toward her. He did not search her face for an explanation. He remained between his wife and her mother. I will not ask Hae-rin to defend herself against something you invented. Yangja stared at him. You have never wondered why the child looks this way. Wondering about a child's appearance is not the same as accusing her mother of betrayal. You deserve the truth. I know the truth. How? Because I know my wife. Yangja pointed toward Sae-bam. Then take a DNA test. A murmur moved through the room. Hae-rin felt the accusation deepen. It was no longer one cruel statement. Her marriage had become a public case, and her mother had appointed herself judge. Jun-ho picked up the diaper bag. We are leaving. Yangja looked shocked. You are walking away from the truth. No. I am walking away from you. You would separate Hae-rin from her mother over one question? Jun-ho's voice remained controlled. You did not ask a question. You gave a verdict. He turned toward the relatives. If anyone here believes my wife owes you proof of her faithfulness, do not call us. Do not visit our home. And do not speak about either of our children. No one answered. Jun-ho looked back at Yangja. You said Sae-bam is not your family. He moved beside Hae-rin. Then neither am I. My wife and both of my children are leaving. Before he could guide them toward the door, Siyu pulled his hand away. The boy walked to his grandmother. He looked more confused than angry. Sae-bam is my sister, Grandma. Why are you making her feel lonely before she can even talk? The room became completely silent. Siyu did not understand DNA tests, marriage accusations, or racial prejudice. But he understood loneliness. He remembered his first week at kindergarten, when the other children had already found friends and no one chose the chair beside him. His mother had told him to look for anyone sitting alone. Sometimes people are waiting for one kind person, she had said. Now the person being pushed outside the family was his sister. Yangja looked down at him. You are too young to understand what is happening. Siyu glanced at Sae-bam. She's younger. The words made several relatives look away. Yangja opened her mouth. Siyu continued. She only knows when people use angry voices. Sae-bam made a soft sound against Hae-rin's chest. Siyu moved closer and touched the edge of her blanket. I'm not angry at you, he whispered. Hae-rin's eyes filled. The bravest person in the room was 5 years old. Jun-ho placed one hand on his shoulder. Put on your shoes. Siyu obeyed. Yangja stood in the middle of the room, surrounded by the meal she had prepared to welcome a child she had refused to hold. Hae-rin, she said. If you leave now, people will think you are hiding something. Hae-rin turned. The relatives were already avoiding her eyes. Her mother was right about one thing. People would talk. They were probably creating the story in their minds before Hae-rin reached the door. I am not leaving because I am hiding, she said. I am leaving because my daughter will not stay where she is treated like evidence. She carried Sae-bam out of the apartment. Siyu followed. Jun-ho left with them. Before they reached the parking lot, Hae-rin's phone vibrated. A message from her cousin appeared on the screen. Did you tell Jun-ho the truth before you left? The accusation had already escaped the apartment. Hae-rin stopped walking. Jun-ho turned. What happened? She handed him the phone. He read the message once. His jaw tightened. I'll call him. No. Hae-rin. No. He does not get to speak to you that way. He already did. I will tell him the truth. What truth? Jun-ho looked at her. That you did nothing wrong. Will he believe you? He will if he wants a relationship with us. That is not what I asked. Sae-bam began crying. Hae-rin pressed the baby against her shoulder and continued toward the car. Siyu walked beside her. Why is Mom angry? Jun-ho opened the back door. Someone said something unkind? Grandma? Someone else. Siyu climbed into his seat beside Saebam's carrier. Did Grandma teach them? Jun-ho paused. The question was painfully accurate. Maybe, he said. During the drive home, Hae-rin received 3 more messages. One relative asked whether Jun-ho had agreed to raise the child. Another told her to be honest before outsiders became involved. A third wrote only, I am praying for your family. Hae-rin blocked every number. Jun-ho drove with both hands tight around the steering wheel. We should turn off our phones, he said. That will not turn off theirs. We can cut them out. All of them? If necessary. Hae-rin looked through the window. You think distance will erase what they believe? I do not care what they believe. I do. Jun-ho glanced at her. She continued before he could answer. They did not accuse you of sleeping with another person. They questioned whether Saebam is my child. And you told them she is. Yes. But they decided I was a liar. They were wrong. Being wrong does not stop them from spreading it. Jun-ho said nothing. Hae-rin looked at the messages again. I want the DNA test. The car seemed to shrink around them. Jun-ho answered immediately. No. Hae-rin turned. What do you mean, no? I will not take a DNA test because your mother demanded one. She accused me in front of 12 people. I know. The story is already spreading. Let it spread. Her expression changed. That is easy for you to say. What does that mean? You are the loyal husband who defended his wife. I am the woman everyone thinks deceived him. I do not think that. This is not only about what you think. It should be. It is not. Jun-ho lowered his voice because Siyu was listening from the back seat. The moment we take that test for them, we accept that Saebam needed evidence before they could respect her. I am not taking it for them. Then who? For me. Jun-ho looked at her. Hae-rin's voice trembled. They took my name, my marriage, and the birth of my daughter and turned them into gossip. I want the lie dead. A test will not change people who wanted to believe it. It will remove their excuse. It gives them permission to demand proof. You can afford to call it principle because your body was not placed on trial. Jun-ho's hands tightened around the wheel. I defended you. Yes, and I love you for that. But defending me in the room does not repair what followed us out. The traffic light changed. Jun-ho drove forward. Neither spoke again until they reached home. That evening, Siyu sat beside Saebam's bassinet turning the wheels of a toy bus. Every few seconds he looked at his sister. Hae-rin was in the bedroom feeding her. Jun-ho sat on the floor across from his son. Dad? Yes? If Grandma is lying, why don't we tell everyone the truth? We did. No. You told Grandma. We told the other relatives too. But they don't believe. Jun-ho rubbed his hands together. Sometimes people believe what they want. Then how do you stop them? Jun-ho had spent the entire drive insisting the family should not answer the accusation. Now his son was asking the question Hae-rin had already asked. How did refusing to prove something stop a lie from growing? We may not be able to stop everyone, Jun-ho said. Siyu looked dissatisfied. Teacher Jun says if someone says something wrong, you correct them. She is right. Then correct them. Jun-ho looked toward the bedroom. His principles still felt important. So did the damage Hae-rin was living with. The difference was that Hae-rin carried the cost while he defended the principle. That night he slept beside her but felt the distance between them. Saebam woke shortly after 2. Jun-ho lifted her before Hae-rin sat up. I'll take her. He carried the baby into the living room. Saebam settled against his chest. He walked slowly past the dark windows. You are my daughter, he whispered. The words were true without a laboratory. But another truth existed beside them. His wife had been publicly accused, and certainty inside their apartment could not prevent the accusation from entering the world outside it. By the next afternoon, the rumor reached CUS preschool. Hae-rin arrived to collect him and found him sitting alone near the classroom door. He usually ran to her, That day, he remained seated. What happened? Nothing. She crouched beside him. Did someone upset you? He looked toward the teacher, then back at his shoes. Min-jae's mom said Sa-bom has a different dad. Hae-rin's stomach turned. What exactly did you hear? She was talking to teacher Jun. She said Grandma found out? The teacher approached quickly. Mrs. Beck, I am sorry. Another parent repeated something she heard from a relative. I told her the conversation was inappropriate. Hae-rin looked at her son. Did anyone say anything to you directly? Siyu shook his head. Then he asked, Is Dad really Sa-bom's dad? Yes. Then why did they say no? Because someone told them something untrue. Grandma? Hae-rin did not answer quickly enough. Siyu understood. Why is Grandma telling lies? She may believe she is asking questions. That's worse. Hae-rin stared at him. Why? If you know it's a lie, you can stop. The child had reached the heart of Yangja's behavior. His grandmother had convinced herself she was pursuing truth. That belief made her more dangerous because she felt justified every time she caused harm. On the walk home, Siyu held Hae-rin's hand tightly. Will Dad tell everybody? We are going to decide what to do. Why do you have to decide? Because some choices can solve one problem and create another. That sounds like a bad choice. Sometimes there are only difficult choices. Siyu thought about this. Then pick the one that doesn't hurt Sa-bom. Hae-rin looked at him. That is what we are trying to do. When Jun-ho returned from work, Hae-rin told him what happened. His face changed immediately. He asked whether I am Sa-bom's father? Yes. Jun-ho sat down. Hae-rin remained standing. The lie has entered our son's school. I will speak to the teacher. She already corrected the parent. I will speak to the parent. And what will you say? That I am Sa-bom's father. Will you prove it? Jun-ho looked at her. Hae-rin's voice softened. I am not asking because I doubt you. I am asking because we have reached the point you said did not matter. I never said it did not matter. You said to let them talk? I was wrong. The admission surprised her. Jun-ho leaned forward. I still hate the test. So do I. I hate what it says about the people asking. So do I. I hate the possibility that Sa-bom may one day learn we tested her because the family looked at her face and decided she needed proof. Hae-rin sat across from him. Then we tell her the full truth. That she did not need proof, but I did it anyway. That we did it because the accusation reached her brother. Jun-ho looked toward Siyu's bedroom. Hae-rin continued. We decide what the result means. Not my mother. He looked back at her. It clears your name. Yes. It does not decide whether Sa-bom belongs to us. No. It does not create my relationship with her. No. And no one gets to celebrate the result like she has finally qualified to become family. Agreed. Jun-ho exhaled. All right. Hae-rin's eyes filled. She had wanted him to agree. Now that he had, she felt no victory. The test was still an answer to a question no one had the right to ask. They went to a private clinic 3 days later. Siyu believed Sa-bom was attending a routine appointment. He sat in the waiting area counting yellow chairs. One is orange, he complained. They said all yellow. Jun-ho sat beside Hae-rin. I am sorry it took the rumor reaching Siyu before I understood. You understood before. I understood the idea. Not the cost. Hae-rin looked at him. That is different. Yes. The nurse called them inside. Sa-bom cried when the swab touched the inside of her cheek. Jun-ho lifted her immediately. You're all right, he whispered. Daddy is here. Hae-rin watched him. This was fatherhood. Not a report. Not a percentage. Presence repeated until a child trusted the sound of his voice. After the paternity samples were completed, Jun-ho submitted a separate ancestry sample. Hae-rin looked at the form. You decided? I want to understand why Sa-bom may look this way. Do you think there is something in your family? My mother once told me every family has old surprises. That could mean anything. I know. What else? Jun-ho hesitated. She avoided talking about the years before she married my father. Hae-rin studied him. You never thought that was unusual? My father died when I was 11. After that, I stopped asking questions that made her sad. They left the clinic with 2 different results pending. One would answer the accusation. The other might explain why the accusation had been possible at all. Jun-ho's late mother had left behind 2 boxes. He had stored them in the basement after her death 4 years earlier. That evening, he carried them upstairs. Hae-rin sat at the kitchen table while he opened the first. Son, he had saved everything. School records, tax documents, receipts, birthday cards, a broken wristwatch, a scarf that still carried a faint trace of her perfume. The second box contained old language books, handwritten vocabulary lists, cassette tapes, and a small micro-cassette recorder wrapped in a kitchen towel. Jun-ho turned it over. I remember this. What is it? Hae-rin asked. My mother used it to practice English. A tape remained inside. On the label, Son, he had written one word. Practice. Jun-ho pressed play. The machine clicked, but the tape did not move. He replaced the batteries. Nothing. It may be broken, Hae-rin said. There is an old repair shop near the subway depot. You think they still fix these? The owner fixes everything. The following afternoon, Jun-ho carried the recorder to the shop. Mr. Han Sukman examined it beneath a lamp. The motor belt has turned to dust. Can you repair it? Perhaps. Jun-ho placed the cassette beside it. The tape matters more than the machine. Mr. Han held the cassette toward the light. The tape looks intact. How long? 2 days. Jun-ho nodded. As he turned to leave, Mr. Han called after him. Old recordings rarely contain what people expect. Jun-ho looked back. What do they contain? What people were unable to say directly. The answer followed him home. While Jun-ho waited for the recorder, the accusation continued moving. A woman from Yangja's neighborhood cooperative called Hae-rin. I heard your family is going through something difficult. We are. I wanted you to know we are praying for you. What exactly are you praying about? The woman hesitated. Your mother said the situation was private. My mother created the situation. I do not want to interfere. You already called. The woman apologized and ended the conversation. Hae-rin stared at the phone. Yangja had not needed to state the accusation directly. By calling it a private difficulty, she had allowed everyone to fill the silence with the ugliest version. Jun-ho came home and found Hae-rin deleting more messages. She is spreading it through the cooperative. He took out his phone. I am calling her. Hae-rin stopped him. No. Why? Because I want to hear what she says when the result comes. You think she will apologize? No. What do you think she will do? Act relieved? Jun-ho understood. Relief would expose the condition beneath Yangja's love. If bomb became acceptable only after the report, then the test would not correct her prejudice. It would reward it. Mr. Han called the next evening. The recorder works. Jun-ho collected it after his shift. Did you listen? He asked. Only enough to test the sound. Is it clear? Clear enough to change something. Jun-ho looked at him. Mr. Han removed his glasses. That is all I will say. At home, Jun-ho waited until Siyu was asleep and bomb had finished feeding. He placed the recorder on the kitchen table. Hae-rin sat opposite him. Are you ready? She asked. No. He pressed play. Static filled the kitchen. Then a young woman's voice appeared. Transportation? Son, he pronounced the word slowly. A man laughed in the background. No, listen. Transportation. His voice was warm and deep. Son, he tried again. The man applauded. Perfect. Not perfect. Better than my Korean. Son, he laughed. Jun-ho stopped the recorder. He had heard his mother laugh many times. Not like that. This version of her sounded young, playful, and unafraid. She sounds different, he said. She was probably in her 20s. I know. He pressed play again. The recording continued with English and Korean phrases. Station. Bridge. Tomorrow morning. I miss you. Do not be late. At one point the man said, Sun-hee, if you keep laughing, we will never finish. She replied. Then stop making mistakes. The tape clicked. A new recording began. The man spoke alone. Sun-hee, it is Adewale. Jun-ho leaned closer. I went to the print shop, but they said you had gone home. My father is ill, and I must return to Nigeria earlier than planned. I will come to your house tomorrow. Please do not worry. I will come back. The message ended. Another began. Sun-hee, I visited your house. Your mother would not let me see you. She said you are engaged. I do not believe you would decide that without speaking to me. Static interrupted him. Then his voice returned. If there is something you need to tell me, write to the university office. They will forward the letter. Another click. Sun-hee, your father said the baby is not mine. Jun-ho's hand froze above the recorder. Beside him, Hae-rin became still. Adewale continued. I did not know there was a baby. His voice broke slightly. I am not asking you to choose me if you do not love me. But, if there is a child, I need the truth. The tape stopped. The machine continued turning, but only static remained. Jun-ho pressed the button. The kitchen became silent. Hae-rin looked at him. Do you think the baby was you? I don't know. But his face showed that he did. The recording had created a new question at the exact moment they were waiting for another answer. Who was Adewale? Why had Sun-hee kept his messages? And why had her father told him the baby was not his? Jun-ho opened the cassette compartment. The tape may have more on the other side. He turned it over. When he pressed play, there was only a low, uneven sound. Then the machine stopped. Jun-ho tried again. Nothing. The recorder may have failed, Hae-rin said. Jun-ho looked at the tape. The answer was inside the machine. It had stopped one step before the truth. Mr. Han repaired the recorder a second time. The tape pulled against the head, he explained. I cleaned it. Do not rewind too quickly. Jun-ho brought it home immediately. He and Hae-rin returned to the kitchen table. This time, Jun-ho pressed play without speaking. Sun-hee's voice appeared. Older. More careful. Jun-ho, this is your mother. A long pause followed. I have tried to say this many times. The recording stopped. Another attempt began. Jun-ho, the man you knew as your father loved you completely. Nothing I tell you should remove him from your life. Another stop. Then, before I married your father, I loved a Nigerian student named Adewale Bamidele. He studied transportation engineering in Seoul. Jun-ho gripped the edge of the table. You are his biological son. Hae-rin reached for his hand. Sun-hee continued. My parents discovered I was pregnant after he returned to Nigeria. They told me he had married someone else. They told him the child was not his. Her breathing became uneven. Both things were lies. Jun-ho closed his eyes. The man who raised him, Baek Dong-won, had died when Jun-ho was 11. Dong-won taught him to repair bicycle chains. He carried Jun-ho home after he broke his ankle. He slept beside him on the hospital floor during a severe fever. That love did not disappear because another man existed. But another man did exist. A man who had asked for the truth and been denied it. Sun-hee's voice continued. Dong-won knew before he married me. He chose to raise you. He was your father in every way he knew how to be. Jun-ho's breathing changed. I wanted to tell you after Dong-won died, but you were 11. Then I said I would tell you when you became an adult. Every year, I waited for a moment that would make the truth less painful. She paused. No such moment exists. Static filled the room. There was nothing shameful about Adewale. The shame belonged to the fear around us. I let that fear make decisions that belong to you. Hae-rin began crying quietly. Sun-hee's final words came slowly. Silence can look like protection when you are afraid. But silence makes choices for other people. I am sorry I waited for courage instead of practicing it. The tape clicked off. Jun-ho did not move. The recorder sat between him and his wife, holding almost 40 years of silence. My father knew, he whispered. Dongwon? Yes. The honesty hurt. It also brought them closer than reassurance would have. The paternity result arrived at 1:52 in the morning while Jun-ho was working beneath the city. He sat alone in a maintenance break room with dust on his sleeves and a paper cup of cold coffee beside him. His phone displayed a new document from the clinic. He opened it. Probability of paternity, greater than 99.99%. Jun-ho read the line 3 times. He expected relief. Instead, he felt grief. The report did not describe Sae-bam sleeping against his chest. It did not record the mornings he changed her clothes while she kicked both feet. It did not measure how quickly he woke when she cried. The report confirmed biology. It did not create fatherhood. A second result appeared from the Ancestry Laboratory. The estimate indicated substantial West African ancestry, consistent with having one biological parent of West African descent. Jun-ho leaned back against the locker. Sae-bam's face had not come from nowhere. Her appearance carried a history his family had buried. She had not created the secret. She had made it visible. Jun-ho called Hae-rin. She answered sleepily. Is something wrong? The result came. She became fully awake. What does it say? I am her biological father. Hae-rin released a breath. I knew. I know. And the ancestry result? My biological father was West African. It matches the recording. Hae-rin was quiet. Yang-ja insisted that anyone would have wondered. Her sister said, Wondering explains a second. It does not explain everything you chose afterward. Yang-ja ended the call. That evening, she watched a recording from the gathering. Hae-rin's cousin had accidentally captured part of the confrontation while filming family greetings. Yang-ja watched herself reach for Sae-bam. She watched her arms fall. She heard the sentence. That baby isn't our family. Then see you move toward the baby. Sae-bam is my sister, Grandma. Why are you making her feel lonely before she can even talk? Yang-ja paused the video. She had spent years teaching Siyu to greet elders, share food, and apologize quickly. When the moment came, he lived those lessons more faithfully than she did. He saw someone small being excluded and moved closer. Yang-ja saw the same child and stepped away. For the first time, she stopped asking whether her reaction had been understandable. She asked what it had done. The cooperative meeting took place the following Thursday. 14 women sat around folding tables discussing meal deliveries, hospital visits, and emergency funds. Yang-ja had chaired the group for 6 years. People trusted her with keys, money, family problems, and private fears. Near the end of the meeting, one member raised the subject of Hae-rin. Chairwoman Moon, now that the test proved the baby belongs to your son-in-law, perhaps you should show it to everyone. It would stop the gossip. Hae-rin's aunt, who also belonged to the cooperative, had told her about the meeting. Hae-rin came but did not enter. She stood outside the partially open door. Yang-ja did not know she was there. Inside, Yang-ja placed both hands on the table. I will not show you the test. The woman frowned. Why not? It proves your daughter did nothing wrong. My daughter did not need a laboratory to make her innocent. The room became quiet. Another member spoke. People were only concerned. No, Yang-ja said. People were curious. I gave that curiosity something cruel to feed on. Several women looked away. Yang-ja continued. I saw my granddaughter and decided her appearance was evidence against my daughter. I said the baby did not belong to our family. A woman near the door shifted in her chair. I later described the situation to some of you as a private difficulty. I knew what you would assume. I allowed you to assume it because I wanted other people to share my suspicion. In the hallway, Hae-rin's breath caught. Yangja's voice trembled, but she continued. The DNA test confirms that Jun-ho is Sae-bom's biological father. But the result does not excuse me. Sae-bom deserved dignity before I understood why she looked different. Hae-rin deserved her mother's trust before she proved anything. The woman who asked to see the test lowered her head. Yangja looked at the office keys near her notebook. For 6 years I have led a group that claims to support families when they feel frightened, ashamed, or alone. She removed the main key from her ring. I created those feelings inside my own family. Several women began protesting. Chairwoman Moon, you made a mistake. You have done too much good work to resign. This is private. Yangja shook her head. I made it public when I allowed you to discuss my daughter. She placed the key on the table. I am resigning as chairwoman. One member stood. That is unnecessary. It is necessary for me. You cannot throw away 6 years of service. I am not throwing it away. I am refusing to use it as proof that I am incapable of cruelty. No one spoke. I will continue volunteering if the group allows it. I will cook, pack meals, and deliver supplies. But I will not sit at the head of this table while pretending leadership means never admitting when I harmed someone. Yangja stepped away from her chair. When she entered the hallway, she saw Hae-rin. Both women stopped. I did not know you were here, Yangja said. I know. Yangja looked toward the meeting room. I meant what I said. Hae-rin's eyes burned. For weeks, she had imagined her mother apologizing. In some versions, she embraced her. In others, she walked away permanently. The real moment felt quieter. I am sorry, Yangja said. I accuse you without evidence. I treated Sae-bom as a scandal before I treated her as a child. I made Siyu believe he needed to protect his sister from his grandmother. Hae-rin said nothing. Yangja continued. I cannot blame fear. Fear did not speak by itself. I did. The sentence reached Hae-rin. Her mother had finally separated explanation from excuse. I believe you are sorry, Hae-rin said. Hope appeared in Yangja's face. Hae-rin continued. I do not trust you yet. The hope did not disappear completely. It changed into acceptance. Then I will change without asking you to reward me. Hae-rin studied her. Why did you resign? Because I cared more about those women respecting me than about protecting you. And if I never let you see the children again? Yangja swallowed. Then resigning was still the right thing. That answer mattered. Not enough to repair everything. Enough to prove the action was not only a way back into the family. Hae-rin stepped aside. I need time. Yangja nodded. I will not pressure you. They left in opposite directions. There was no embrace. No instant forgiveness. Only the first honest space between them. At home, Hae-rin told Jun-ho what happened. He listened without interrupting. Do you believe her? He asked. I believe she was honest today. That is not the same as trusting her. No. What do you want to do? I do not know. Jun-ho nodded. Hae-rin looked at him. You are not going to tell me what forgiveness should mean? No. A faint smile reached her face. You learned something. I am practicing. The word reminded them both of Sun Hee's recording. I waited for courage instead of practicing it. Hae-rin took Jun-ho's hand. Thank you for agreeing to the test. I wish you had never needed it. So do I. He looked toward Sae-bom, who slept nearby. I was afraid taking it would tell her she needed proof. And I was afraid refusing it would tell her that protecting my name did not matter. We were both protecting something real. Yes. Jun-ho squeezed her hand. Next time, I will listen before deciding what your dignity requires. That is all I wanted. Yangja did not visit the apartment. She sent no gifts. She stopped asking relatives for updates. Instead, she wrote 3 short letters. The first was for Hae-rin. I expected you to trust me as your mother while refusing to trust you as my daughter. The second was for Jun-ho. I treated your loyalty to your wife as weakness. I also acted as though your ancestry required my approval. It does not. The third was for Siyu. Grandma said something unkind about Sa-bam. You were right to stand beside your sister. You should not have needed to be braver than the adults. Hae-rin read Siyu's letter aloud. He listened carefully. Is Grandma good now? He asked. Hae-rin considered the question. She did something good. That's not what I asked? No. What makes someone good? Jun-ho answered from across the room. What they keep choosing. Siyu thought about it. Then Grandma has to choose again tomorrow. Yes. And the day after? Yes. That's a lot. It is. Siyu looked toward Sa-bam. She has to practice. Hae-rin and Jun-ho exchanged a glance. Yes, Hae-rin said. She does. 3 weeks later, Hae-rin allowed one visit. Yanja arrived 5 minutes early and waited outside until exactly 2. She carried nothing. No food. No clothes. No toy. Hae-rin opened the door. Her mother removed her shoes and remained near the entrance. Siyu appeared from the living room. Grandma! He ran forward, then stopped halfway. He looked back at Sa-bam, who was lying on a playmat beside Jun-ho. Yanja followed his gaze. Hello, Siyu. Then she looked at the baby. Hello, Sa-bam. Sa-bam kicked one foot. Siyu inspected his grandmother's hands. You didn't bring a coat. No. Why? Because I did not come to make you choose between a gift and your sister. Siyu considered this. Good. Jun-ho offered tea. The first 20 minutes were awkward. Yanja asked about Hae-rin's work. Hae-rin gave short answers. Siyu showed his grandmother a toy train, then pushed it near Sa-bam so she could watch the wheels. Yanja looked at the baby but did not ask to hold her. Eventually, Siyu noticed. Why don't you carry Sa-bam? Yanja looked at Hae-rin. Because saying sorry does not give me the right to decide when she feels safe with me. The room became still. Siyu turned toward his mother. Can she? Hae-rin looked at Yanja. Her mother's hands rested in her lap. No entitlement. No demand. Hae-rin lifted Sa-bam from the mat. You may hold her for a few minutes. Yanja stood carefully. Hae-rin placed the baby into her arms. Sa-bam stared up at her grandmother. Yanja's expression changed. Not into sudden redemption. Into attention. She noticed the curve of Sa-bam's mouth. The line beside her left eye. The curls near her ears. The way her fingers opened against Yanja's blouse. She is warm, Yanja whispered. She runs warm like Jun-ho, Hae-rin said. Yanja looked at him. Jun-ho nodded. Sa-bam reached toward Yanja's earring. She likes shiny things, Siyu warned. The baby caught it. Yanja winced but did not pull away sharply. She removed the earring and placed it on the table. Then she looked at Sa-bam. I am sorry, she whispered. You should never have needed protection from me. Sa-bam closed one hand around her finger. Hae-rin did not say everything was forgiven. She allowed the moment to remain what it was. A beginning. When the hour ended, Yanja returned the baby, put on her shoes, and left. She did not ask to stay. That mattered too. Jun-ho continued searching for Adewale Bamidil. An alumni office confirmed that a Nigerian transportation engineering student by that name had studied in Seoul during the correct years. A retired professor remembered him. He was serious, the professor said. Always early. Always carrying more books than he needed. Do you know what happened after he left? He returned to Nigeria. I believe he worked on public transportation projects. Do you know whether he is alive? No. Jun-ho wrote a letter to the last professional address he could find. I recently learned that you may be my biological father. My mother was Baek Sun-hee. I found recordings that suggest both of you were given false information. I was raised by Baek Dong-won, who loved me as his son. Learning about you does not remove him from my life. But I believe you deserve to know I existed, and I deserve to know you tried to find us. I am not writing to demand a relationship. I only want the silence to end. Jun-ho mailed the letter. He did not build his life around receiving an answer. Weeks passed. Bomb began smiling whenever Siyu sang the wrong words to songs. She kicked both feet when Jun-ho returned from work. Life became ordinary again in small pieces. Bottles. Laundry. Preschool lunches. Night wakings. Ordinary life did not erase what happened. It gave the family somewhere to heal. Then an envelope arrived from Nigeria. The return address was in Ibadan. Jun-ho recognized the surname. Bamidil. He opened the letter at the kitchen table with Hae-rin beside him. It had been written by a woman named Mornike Bamidil. She introduced herself as Adewale's daughter. Adewale was alive. He was 72 and retired after decades in transportation planning. Mornike wrote that her father had spoken about Sun-hee for years. He kept copies of unanswered letters and believed she had married someone else. He never knew with certainty that Jun-ho existed. At the bottom of the page, Adewale had written one sentence himself. I have imagined your face for almost 40 years. I will not ask you to call me father, but I would be grateful to hear your voice. Jun-ho read the sentence twice. Then he lowered the letter and cried. Not loudly. Not neatly. Hae-rin held his hand. Siyu appeared in the doorway. Is Dad sad? Yes, Hae-rin said. Bad sad? No. Big sad. Siyu came closer and wrapped both arms around Jun-ho's waist. Bomb began crying from her mat, offended by being left out. Jun-ho laughed through his tears and lifted her too. For the first time, he held both children while knowing the fuller truth of where he came from. Dong-won remained his father. Adewale was also his father. Sun-hee remained the mother who loved him and the woman whose fear had stolen years from them all. Truth did not simplify his life. It expanded it. The old recorder remained on Jun-ho's desk. He transferred Sun-hee's recording to a digital file but kept the original tape. One afternoon, Siyu found the machine. What is this? A recorder. What does it do? It saves voices. Like a phone? An old version. Siyu pressed one of the buttons. Jun-ho stopped him gently. There are important voices on that tape. Whose? My mother's. Grandma Sun-hee? Yes. She died. Yes. But her voice is still there? Jun-ho looked at the machine. Yes. Siyu held it carefully. Can Bomb put her voice inside? When she learns to talk. She makes sounds now. That is true. Siyu looked toward his sister. Can I make something for her? Jun-ho found a blank microcassette. He placed it inside and showed Siyu how to press the red button. What should I say? The boy asked. Anything you want Bomb to hear when she is older. Siyu leaned close to the recorder. Hi Bomb. It's Siyu. He looked toward his sister. When you learn words, you can tell me everything. He paused. Even if you're angry. Another pause. I'll listen. Jun-ho's throat tightened. Siyu continued. And if someone says you're not my sister, they're wrong. He looked up. Can I say that? Yes. Siyu returned to the recorder. You were my sister before anybody proved anything. He paused again. You're my sister because you are. That's all. He pressed stop. The room became quiet. Hae-rin lifted Bomb and carried her closer. What should we call the recording? She asked. Siyu thought carefully. Before Bomb can talk. Jun-ho wrote the title on the label. He placed the new tape beside Sun-hee's old recording. One tape carried a truth hidden because adults feared what people would say. The other carried a child's promise to listen before fear could make anyone silent. The adults had searched records, repaired tapes, taken tests, and crossed continents to understand how Bomb fit into their history. Siyu had never needed any of it. He knew before the report. Before the ancestry result. Before Yangja's apology. Before Adewale's letter. He understood that belonging was not a reward handed out after every doubt had been settled. It was the place love created before the answers arrived. The adults wanted truth to come first so they could decide whom to accept. The child placed love first, giving truth somewhere safe to land. No child should have to wait for proof before someone chooses to stand beside them. Hae-rin took the DNA test to stop the lie, but Jun-ho believed taking it rewarded the accusation. Who was right? And after Yangja publicly surrendered her position, would you have allowed her near the children again? Share your honest judgment in the comments, and subscribe for more emotional stories about the family choices that cannot be taken back.